I get quite excited about Christian architecture and artwork, as you might be able to tell. But basically, Constantinople was built to show off the heavens above and Christ in the center. And the Hagia Sophia was right there to be a visual picture of Jesus. And the emperor would sit there from time to time, and all his underlings would be around him as a picture of Jesus reigning from the world. And they basically built Constantinople to show off the kingdom of heaven. Really fascinating city, Constantinople, and the church there. And we've lost something of the angels in our architecture at the moment. We're all a bit bland, as if we're showing the world that we don't particularly care about physical things because we're so spiritually minded. You don't get that vibe in the Bible or in church history. And you might say this morning, well, we shouldn't be spending money on buildings. We should be giving it to the poor. But there's more to life than giving money to the poor. And we do give to the poor as church and as a family here. But there's always going to be poor people. And what people need to know is they need to be in awe of the world to come. Whether they're poor or rich, we're all entering a world to come. And poor people and rich people need to see that Christians really believe and care that the world to come is full of awe and wonder. And if we could just reflect that better, and that it affects every bit of our lives, and that music can be glorious, and art can be glorious. And so we're not just saying become a Christian and spend all day thinking about becoming holy. Have a little wrestle in your mind every morning about some sins you can tackle this day. No. The Christian message is you will be redeemed, body, mind and soul. Your hobbies will be redeemed and made holy. The way you play sport will be. The way you build buildings. The way you look. Everything matters. Deeply involved with Jesus. And if that spills out into glorious architecture, which sends out a message to the pagan nations, look at the glorious kingdom of heaven that this is reflecting on earth. Look about the world to come. Be excited. You won't be poor in the world to come. You won't be hungry. Rachel Freeman, they had a high view of God's holiness in building Solomon's temple. Exactly. There you go. You summed up 4 minutes of rant. And you know, if there's some nonconformists listening, which there are, they will say the best years of nonconformity were when we were expelled from buildings and had to meet in huts and tents and fields, and that's when the Spirit of God moved. Yeah, I would agree that probably was the height of nonconformity. But the height of nonconformity is nothing compared to the height of Christendom and the reign of the Orthodox Church, which spanned decades, not just 5 years of revival before they all fall out with each other. And then, of course, the final reason that people don't invest in physical things anymore, like here, is certain wings of Christianity teach that this is now the age of the Holy Spirit. Whereas back then, the Holy Spirit wasn't indwelling people like he is now. So now we're like really spiritual and the Holy Spirit is in us. So all that matters is this internal articulation of the faith and, you know, spending all our time in our attics praying. Whereas I fundamentally disagree with the idea that the Holy Spirit was not indwelling people in the Old Testament, because that is a different gospel. I think what happens at Pentecost is the Holy Spirit falls on people and equips people to spread the gospel out in reviving power. We're going out now. We're going out in a new way to the Gentile world. To take that and apply it in a way that means that this was not a spiritual era in the Old Testament, or that the Spirit only fell on certain people, I think you've got a different gospel there, folks. All of that to say, here you have very physical, glorious Christian things at the same time as the Holy Spirit. In fact, often with Bezalel, the architect in Exodus, inspired by the Spirit. And then you're like, well, maybe the Spirit came on people for certain jobs but didn't indwell them. But that soon unravels as well. And that is a debate not to get into here right now. I'm just saying, go build something for Jesus. I mean, to think that the Spirit was not indwelling people for them to see the bread of life and trust in Him, the coming Messiah, flies against almost every verse that Moses ever wrote. We're going to stay here a second, because the Bezalel thing, like people think, well, oh, the minister's got the real Christian work to do. But it's like, no, if you're going to build something today, how is that not a spiritual thing? How is that not God's work? If you're going to do arts and crafts with children, how is that not a spiritual thing? I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, and filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom and understanding, with knowledge and with all kinds of skills. Now go. I agree the Spirit fell on people to do certain jobs, kings and priests and prophets, but it is quite the leap to say that the Spirit wasn't indwelling people as well. And we can look at plenty of examples where the keeping power of the Holy Spirit kept sinners because they were regenerate in the Old Testament. And yet the Spirit left people as well, but that would be more for these types of jobs or prophecy or something. It's an important point to labour, folks. I know I'm dwelling here. Do not think, if you're a Christian today, do not think that what you're going to do today is somehow out of the realm of the spiritual because it's too mundane or earthy. All the spiritual gifts in the Bible need physical bodies attached to it. The two aren't opposed. My friend was a toilet cleaner in New Jersey in America. He said public toilet cleaner, and he said he cleaned those toilets like they were heavenly toilets. By the way, this also affects why Christians should be green. Not green in and of itself to worship the idol of green, which is what some Christians do, but because the physical world matters.